Wake me if you've heard this before. According to Amazon, Rings of Power Season 2 is just a massive, phenomenal, incredible success. It's number one on our service. It's not number one in the world. Despite it being based off of one of the most well-known and popular and successful IPs in history, Lord of the Rings. And despite this season costing somewhere in the range of $500 million to produce, Amazon's Rings of Power has suffered a massive ratings drop-off from the first season. This is the tweet from Lord of the Rings on Prime. Do you remember the day after it premiered last year and Amazon puts out this statement, hey, we know everyone hates this show, but ignore those Rotten Tomatoes scores, ignore the reviews from fans. 25 million people from all around the world tuned in the first 24 hours to Rings of Power on Prime. Well, apparently for season 2, after the first 24 hours, probably didn't look that good. So they waited 11 days with 4 episodes out, and they said, with 40 million global viewers and counting, thank you for making the Rings of Power the number one Prime Video show in the world. Not the number one show in the world, but the number one show on our streaming service.
It sounds like Disney numbers when they released, like,
it sounds like
Ahsoka's
The Acolyte.
number one with millions of views on our streaming service.
It sounds like The Acolyte, the biggest Disney Plus release of this year, in which we have not released anything really of note or of value. Isn't that incredible? More bad news for Rings of Power as Amazon reveals sharp viewership decline from season 1. This week, Amazon finally revealed viewing numbers for the first 4 episodes of The Lord of the Rings of Power Season 2 on Prime. This represents the first half of the season, with just 4 more episodes remaining. According to Amazon, Season 2 has reached 40 million viewers in 10 days. But what this means exactly is a bit harder. As Variety reports, it's difficult to put the stat in full context, as Amazon has not defined how it quantifies its viewership. For example, 40 million could simply be the number of people who watched any portion of the available episodes. The publication notes that while we don't have a clear definition of what a viewer actually means, we do have some comparisons to go by. Rings of Power reached 25 million viewers in just one day when just the first 2 episodes were released. This was 2 years ago. Clearly, this represents a massive decline in viewer numbers season over season. And this falls in line with everything that we've seen. The Samba TV direct-to comparisons, the actual Luminate streaming numbers in terms of minutes watched for 3 episodes compared to only 2. Everything is indicating that over half of the audience that tuned into season 1 did not come back for season 2. And you know what? Being the number one show on Prime Video, 40 million views, or even somewhere in the realm of 700, 800, 900 million minutes watched, that could, for a lot of other shows, be considered a success. You know, if you're spending 80, 90, 100 million dollars, you know, those streaming numbers in terms of minutes watched, it's similar to something like The Boys on Amazon Prime Video. The difference is The Boys, regardless of how you feel about it, those budgets are in the realm of $100 million per season. Lord of the Rings of Power. Season 1 costs about $700 million when you combine the money they spent acquiring the rights. Season 2, the estimates are upwards of $500 million for season 2 of this show. You need a massive global phenomenon to consider this a success. That is not what this is. This is a fucking nightmare for them. An absolute nightmare.
What did they spend the money on?
Obviously, they spent it on wigs.
Maybe Amazon just has a lot of that FU money and they just don't care.
That is a true statement. And if this was any other show, there's no way that this would continue on.
Yeah.
Prime Video is different. Amazon is not a entertainment company, right? They fucking ship you shit to your door. Amazon is a massive, one of the biggest companies in the world. It has nothing to do with Prime Video. This is almost like a little project, a little mini project for them. Now, at some point, you lose this much money. Anybody's going to question, hey, maybe we should start pulling the plug on something like this. Same kind of goes for Apple TV. they can blow a ton of money and it doesn't affect their bottom line because they're not an entertainment company. The original plan when they did acquire this was 5 seasons of Rings of Power. That was their overall plan. I don't know if it's going to get canceled regardless of how bad the viewership gets, but maybe there's a chance they try to trim it down from 5 seasons to 3 seasons, something like that. But
there's no way they'll do 5 seasons. I just can't believe that they would.
It is rough for them out there. And they're trying to do the same thing they did in the first season and gaslight viewers into believing that, hey guys, look, we just told you this many people watched it. We promise. We're not going to specify what that means. We're not going to specify if that includes all 4 of the episodes, which it absolutely does. We're just going to say, hey, this is so fucking awesome. Look at us. Aren't we amazing? But then when the real numbers come out, just like they did last year, 2 years ago, they indicate that, oh yeah, this is actually a massive, one of the most expensive disasters we've ever seen.